when you've got that little inner voice that says, and everybody has this inner voice, it's just very faint sometimes. It's very, very faint. But if they listen for it, wait a minute, I was here for a purpose. I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm going to magnify this and make it better.
Right.
And just know that, life is a beautiful struggle. And because it brings you at peace. I find that my every night is peaceful now.
Hello and welcome to Along the Way Life's Journey. I'm your host, Carl Buccellato. All of us meet people along the way in life's journey. Some of it very interesting, some motivate us, and a few seem to be walking along our very same path in life. Our guest today is just such a person. She is Patricia Love, #1 best-selling author of her first book, Seen and Unheard, published in March of 21. This is a very poignant story of Patricia's life through her youth, successes, excesses, and crash. This autobiography is the genesis of her story of change, recovery, and new happiness. Much of her story seems to parallel my very own story. We have spoken briefly, and I have researched her change and current accomplishments, and I know you will benefit by meeting this woman. Today, Patricia is a motivational and confidence coach, a neuro-linguistic practitioner, emotional freedom technician, and founder of the new app ConfidentU. She spends her time coaching women to acknowledge and ignite their own inner power. And most importantly, that change is possible at any age. And I'm a great believer in that. Please welcome best-selling authoress, Patricia Love. Patricia, thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. I'm just so thrilled to be here. I feel like it's a deja vu almost.
Doesn't it sound like deja vu all over again?
Inside joke.
Inside joke, folks. You'll have to read the book to find out. Okay. So speaking of the book, Patricia, you are a #1 bestseller of your first book, your first novel.
Yes.
How exciting is that? So tell us about that first book, which was called Seen and Unheard.
Yes. Well, it is exciting. And, I think everybody has it in them or says to themselves, I want to write a book, or I should write a book about this, or I should write a book about that. Well, I'm going to tell you, you should write a book, but just know you're going to learn a lot about who you are, and depending on what kind of book you do. Even if it was a fiction book, you're going to learn about a lot about who you are. And this book, Seen and Unheard, is exactly what I did. Is that it's a memoir on my life told in a story kind of an essence way with some thoughts at each end of each chapter. But I find that people are really recognizing themselves in some of my stories and saying and contacting me and saying, that story really resonated with me. It wasn't exactly the same, but I totally get it. And now I want to do this.
Yeah.
And that excites me. And, but is it crazy to write a book? Oh yeah. But it's also a really, really releasing, you might say.
Yeah. And I've had those experiences. I wrote a book very similar to yours regarding my own life. And one of the things that I found so difficult to do was to accept the fact that you have to be transparent. You can't just select the highlights of your life that you want to make yourself look good. You got to be out there, warts and all. You got to really be transparent and let it out. Did you have difficulty with that?
Absolutely. And here's the thing, when you make a change in your life, like I, started making changes only a mere 13, 14 years ago. It really just makes you realize that even though you've come a long way in that journey, when you start writing that book and putting it on paper, the emotions that come up you might say, of all the lies that I was telling myself back in the day, kind of just regurgitated back up again. And I just would cry and I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's really, it's releasing, it's exhilarating, it's exciting. And then there was laughter too, because there were stories in there that made me laugh, that memories that I was like, oh my God, that's right. I did this and I met that person. So, it's good and bad, but all of it is good in the long run because it totally got me out of my comfort zone. Even though I have a tendency to live outside my comfort zone these days, I like to believe it. It's like, I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable.
So, but I know that in your book you refer to wearing a mask, which most of us at some point in our lives do. And the masks that we do, that we wrap ourselves in, are those best foot forward features that we think are necessary for people to accept us, to kind of shade over what we believe is some things within us that we're not happy about, that we're not satisfied with. So
Right.
peeling away that mask at an adult age is quite different, isn't it? It's quite difficult.
It was very difficult because I was living a life of lies in so many ways with that mask on, because that mask was, I felt, was actually masking who I was, because I didn't want to be that person that I thought I was, at nighttime. I needed to wear that mask to get people to like me, to be that people pleaser, to do all the things I thought I should be doing. And that was that mask of lies.
Yeah.
And when you take that mask off at an older, mature age, at a more
Mature,
mature age,
mature age.
it's really, and I think this was for lots of people, and I believe that even though some people don't think they're wearing a mask, they are wearing a mask, because what happens is you wear it for so long, you almost start to blend with it. You
Right.
don't know what is true
Yeah.
and what is not true. And
Yeah.
that was what happened to me. And I had to take that mask off and get it. And it was hard to take that mask off, because I don't believe that anybody likes to look into themselves and really acknowledge their lies, their truths, their negatives, because I don't think any of us like to believe that we are imperfect, you might say,
Mm.
when we are all perfectly imperfect and we're
Mm.
all human. And so it's so vitally important that you take that mask off and examine who you are. And it's hard. And I will say it is hard. But once you get through it, it's beautiful, because then it's like, "Oh my god, I just lifted up pounds and pounds of bricks off my shoulders. I can now be myself, and it's okay to be me."
And that's in spite of the fact that we all of us, you and myself, wear masks for most of our lives, starting when we're very young. We start to put this mask on and we start doing things as a people pleaser because we think people won't like us unless we do certain things. And it becomes part of our core and we wrap it around us. And it becomes so much of us that you become a young adult, you get involved with other people, you have, romances, you have businesses, whatever you have in life, it's all part of your veneer. And then suddenly, as you say, one day you look at yourself and you say, if it isn't for this veneer, would they like what I really feel I am inside? And then you have to, I know for myself, I had to come to a point where I couldn't blame other people for it. I had to accept
Yeah,
the fact that I did this. I
yeah,
thought that's what they wanted. I
yeah.
made me into this person.
We do. We make ourselves into that person, and it's oh interesting how we really just believe that so much that it's scary to take that mask off.
Yeah.
And because those are your fears, that if you take that mask off, then what if nobody does like me? It's that what if,
Yeah.
and but you have, but by learning and slowly taking that mask off and realizing that, what, you can't please everybody. No
Right.
matter what you do. I think Lincoln said that. President Lincoln said that way
All of the
back.
people, some of the time, some of the
Ex
people.
exactly, but you
Yeah.
can't fool them. You can't get them to like you all the time, and not everybody is, and that's okay. Because man, you'd be really busy if you everybody liked you all the time, right?
Right.
And it's I wanna let people know it's not scary, and, it's scary, but once you do it and you take that step, it feels good.
Yeah. Okay. But you, like so many other people, myself included, you're wrapped around in this thing and you're going along in life, and all of a sudden, you don't stop and say to yourself, "Oh, I should take this thing off." It happens because of a catharsis that comes with crash. It's peeled away from you for one reason or another.
Yes.
And here you were at 57 years of age. Your life seemed to be, you called it a tsunami where it crushed in on you
Yeah,
all at
yeah.
once.
Yeah, it's for me, that's where it happened, because it wasn't just one thing. Now, there's some people that maybe they have a trauma in their life, or somebody passes and they have this epiphany, at times. I was so good at packing away my feelings into my what I call my suitcase or my baggage and just carry it. It would just carry around it. And pretty soon that bag got so full that when one or two things kind of broke or that dam broke or that zipper broke, you might say, it started just everything just started seeping out and all of a sudden it exploded because my mom had passed away. I found myself $140,000 in debt. And I have to say this, I was really good at making money, but I was also really good at spending money. And so when the real estate situation happened in 2008, 2009 in that area, I was at the other end, which was the broke end, which was, and so there was no money kind of coming in. I was also about 30 pounds or so overweight. I was drinking too much. There was just many things that just, and one night, it was a September actually, and one night it was like, it all just hit me. And I was martining. I had two martinis. I was crying. And something came through me, an energy that just exploded through me that I had to make a change. I had to do something because what I've been doing, which was the same thing over and over and over. And
Insanity, the
yeah,
description of insanity. Right?
exactly. Putting it into the baggage type of thing. I kept getting the same results. Finally, I said, I got to interrupt that behavior or one of them. I got to start someplace. That was the hardest part. And it doesn't happen overnight. I want to make sure everybody has said this does not happen overnight, but it's a start. When that tsunami hits you and then starts to go back out, you need to start to realize, you know what, before another tsunami comes, because they do come and they will come, or that earthquake or something will happen at some point in life
Right.
that you need to make a change now to help maybe ride the waves easy better, get a tsunami pod or do whatever you need to do that's going to make it easier because we can't get rid of life's problems and life's situations, but we can learn how to respond to the better and act to the better. And that's what I did. I just remember this energy saying, write these 5 words down. And I wrote these 5 words down: acknowledgement, forgiveness, mindset, accountability, and perseverance. And I added gratitude later that I now still live by to this day. But at that point, that day, I didn't know why I wrote those down. It was like, what I did that? Until, like a couple weeks later, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to acknowledge where I'm at. Maybe I'm lying to myself. So maybe I need to forgive myself. So it all kind of started from there. But that tsunami hit me. And when you're $140,000 debt, my first thing that I needed to acknowledge is that I was in debt and I needed to open up the bills because when you put your head in the sand, it doesn't change anything. You just smother.
Hmm.
That's basically you just smother yourself or quicksand. You just smother yourself to death. So, one step at a time. And I just figured out ways to sell everything, be frugal. I learned ways to make things fun because I also find when you make changes in your life that people think, oh God, I got to change. Oh my God, I got to do this or I got to cut my bills. What I did, and I want to say this because if you make things more fun, then you're going to enjoy the change better. So I actually, just to give you an idea of my fun, I would take $30 and I would go to the grocery store and that's all I had. Just, and I make a game out of it. You cannot spend more than $30 and you got to eat pretty healthy because I needed to lose the weight. So I made it a game. Now at first I stayed in longer in that grocery store because I had to find things and figure it out and what else to do. But I remember the first time I came out, it was $29.69. And I was like, yes. And that celebration started building confidence too. Like, oh my God, you can do this.
If you can do it in small steps, you can eventually do it in giant steps. There's
It
no
just
doubt about it.
automatically rolls that way. It's like
Absolutely.
that. I don't know if you remember I think it was Frank Sinatra. A lot of maybe your some listeners may have heard it, may have not. It's the ant that moved the rubber tree plant.
Yeah.
Yes.
High hopes.
High hopes.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Just what made a rubber tree, that little old ant think it could move a rubber tree plant? He had high hopes. Whoops, there goes another
Another
rubber tree
one.
plant.
Exactly.
That's
So it's the baby steps that you can take and I like to really emphasize that because too many people say, I'm going to change in 30 days. I'm going to lose 25 pounds in 30 days. I'm going to do this. And then you get overwhelmed
unrealistic expectations.
and you quit.
That's
You
right.
can't do it. And
That's
so
right.
consistency is key to confidence, to key the change.
I've lived most of my life because I'm much older than you. Most of my life remembering and believing in a statement that I heard when I was a boy. During World War II, when the Germans were beating the hell out of England and bombing every day, the Blitzkrieg, Winston Churchill went on the radio and he says, I have a 5-word secret to success. If we do this, we shall surely prevail. He says, we will never, 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 never quit.
Yes.
Never quit. When you quit, you lose. If you keep going, you will prevail sooner or later. Just keep
And,
going.
I'll bring it to to a new thing, Galaxy Quest. I don't know if you remember the movie Galaxy Quest. Anyway, it was just about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Some people might remember this who are Trekkies or in that space element. But Tim Allen says, I think it was Tim Allen, one of them says, never give up, never surrender. And I use that a lot. Like when something happens and changes, I go, never give up, never surrender. I can do this. It just helps you. And sometimes we have to be our own accountability person, right? You can't
Yeah, I
always
think a
depend
lot.
on other people.
Not sometimes. I think a lot.
Yeah.
We have to be
Well,
our own.
I think a lot of people think we'll get an accountability buddy and all that. And that's great. But what happens when your accountability buddy is not around, but he's dealing with his own problems?
You see, that's the point is when you rely on your accountability buddy to be responsible for you, you're handing off the responsibility of yourself.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
can't do that. You have to be responsible for yourself.
Yes.
That's what forgiveness is about. Your key words there were acknowledge and forgive and all of those kinds of
Yes.
things
Yes.
that comes with recognizing I am this whole human being. I do
Yes.
good things, I do bad things. I have to acknowledge what they are and work on change. If I don't do that, if I hand it over to my father or my friend or my girlfriend or boyfriend, I'm not taking responsibility for me. And
No.
it will never happen.
And
Never
it's just
happen.
it's like learning. It's like growth. It's about, don't get mad at somebody else when they've done something that you don't like, when you didn't ever take the responsibility to learn about something. So in order for you to give them the right ideas and the right thoughts, because you're not leading them and taking accountability of things. And it's so easy to blame other people. This is
Absolutely.
yeah, that's one of the reasons that I've always, loved to grow and love to read and and actually, I didn't love to read a long time ago, but now I love to read everything and, anything and everything that I can find, and growing and learning about technology and being open to change, because being open to change, boy, that makes a huge difference, because so many people fight change. It's like they fight age. And
Yeah.
embrace it. It's like, you know what? I can't do anything about that. It's out of my control. I'm going to embrace change, because change is what's consistent, right? And that's about it. So that's all you can do. So embrace change.
When you go into the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and you get caught into a riptide,
Yes.
if you try to fight your way back to shore, you will drown.
Yeah.
If you go with the flow with the riptide, you'll go to the end of the riptide and then it'll get placid again and you can easily walk to shore, which means go with the flow. Stop fighting the inevitability of things.
Well, and that's what so many people right now, they have anxiety. What if you're in that riptide, you get what? You panic. You get anxiety. You
Right.
get overwhelmed.
Right.
And that's why I'm also I turn to this a lot. And I don't talk about meditation so much, because meditation, people think of like the monk and I got to sit there like this, and they never can do it. I teach people quietation, and it's just quiet yourself. Take off the headphones, take off the things. If you go for a walk, don't take your phone or your music with you, because those are all distractions. Come within yourself, and so that you can focus and you learn that you can calm yourself, and you cannot panic about even things that are happening around you in the world, and take those learning things, what's happening, even during the pandemic, instead of fighting it, you say, okay, what can I do today to make this better for me? Because this is right now, this is my reality. And you learn to, if you can be quiet and find your inner self and that inner perspective, which is so hard for people to do a lot of times, because they're always like distracted. Because again, as we just talked about, people are scared to know about themselves and learn the lies that they're telling themselves,
Right.
which is the worst
Right.
thing you can do in the world, is tell yourself lies.
Right. Right. They start believing their own baloney. I won't use
Exactly. Oh, they're oh, yes.
Yes. I'll be a gentleman and not say it that way.
I
Okay.
guess
So,
I'm not a gentleman then.
oh, you're a lady. So,
Exactly.
And as we know, ladies are stronger, more prominent, more involved than they've ever
Oh,
been in
yes.
history.
I'm
Ever in
listening.
history.
I'm listening.
Well, it's a reality. It's true. You know,
Yeah,
that I believe that we for so long a time in culture put male dominance beyond everything else that we lost so much skill set, so much talent over
yeah,
the eras of people. And now we're coming around to recognizing not only equality in pay, but equality in standing of capability, intellect, skill sets, creativity. It's
yeah.
we're
I mean,
human beings,
yeah.
and
Well, the old adage was what behind every successful man is a woman. Well, guess what? Now that woman is moving up next to that person because
uh,
they always have been pushing the people and they're smart and they're equal. And so now it's time for them to come up and step side by side. And hey, maybe if you want to come in a little head, that's perfectly fine.
I believe that. I've always believed that. I used to run my fair share of big businesses, and I always had women in my inner core of the corporate executive team. And I never judged people by gender or race. I want to see what you can do. I want to hear your intellect. I want to see how you interact with other people. How do you blend in as part of a team and be a leader? Those are
Right.
important things and
Those
nothing
are
else.
important. Nothing else is it. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of, what can you do?
that's
Show
right.
me, show me what you can do. And so
That's right.
and a lot of that is building and learning and understand about who you are, about acknowledging maybe your negatives and your fears and this thing. So you can build that or ignite, like I say, that confidence within you, because that's key to so many things. Confidence is the key to a lot of cases to success. It's a key to of changing your life. Losing weight because you're confident that you can do something, or just learning, getting an education. It's so you have to ignite that, and it again. It's I want to again say it again and again and again. Is baby steps.
Yeah.
Nothing happens overnight. In fact, it's always interesting. I find that it's when you start to do something that you like and enjoy doing, and all of a sudden you're doing it, and you're like, "Whoa, how did that happen?" And I mean, this is interesting. And this is just a quick side note. I was dating a Lebanese man many years ago, many years ago, and he had his friends over all the time, and they were talking in Lebanese and all that, and and then one day I turned around and I answered them in in American, but or in English, but they said, "Oh my God, she understands." It was because it was subconscious. I just kept listening and doing, and next thing I know, it's like, whoa, I did do that, and I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that I understood. And I thought they were just speaking English to me.
So here's the question. Now that they knew that you could understand them, were they more cautious than what they
Of
said?
course they were. Especially back 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, we better be a little bit. But it's just the fact that if you practice something and keep listening and keep doing, pretty soon you're going to turn around like, oh my God, I am really good at this. You know, it is the baby steps and it's consistency.
Yeah.
And nobody can fix and do anything overnight. That just is not feasible. It's best if you want to make real change. Now, people make changes, but then they fall back and then they wonder why they couldn't keep moving forward because they didn't persevere and there wasn't consistency. And I'll say one other thing: when people want to make a change, and I know this was for me too, and I want to make sure that people understand this. I created a big why for myself. Why? I did not ever want to be on that floor, drunk, drinking martinis, feeling sorry for myself as a victim, not sure if I was going to have a roof over my head. I never wanted to go back there ever again. And I had to write out a why that was so strong that I can pick it up and read it periodically and say, oh, I don't want to go back there, because it's really easy to get complacent sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
And so if you have a strong why, could be your kids, could be anything, but you just want to do things for yourself. And you'll be amazed that that'll keep you persevering every single day. But do it in baby steps, one step at a time.
But we also have to acknowledge that trauma, clashes, build in us something that those of us who are survivors from things like that
Yes.
have. We become like the phoenix bird. We become stronger than we were before because we overcome the adversity. Those
Yes.
who fail to overcome are those who never make it. But when you really push to overcome the adversity, to come back, you know, there was a point in my life I was top of the world. I was the CEO of a publicly traded company with corporations, sub corporations in 3 continents, 6,000 employees. Had a spinal problem, ended up on my back with a morphine pump in my spine. Had to give everything up because I couldn't function. Couldn't
Right.
function.
Right.
My wife at that time decided she couldn't live like that. 39 years of marriage was gone. And I was lying there, defeated and broken. And if I
Yes.
allowed myself to stay there, I would have been dead 20
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
But here I am. I'm alive. I overcame that. I believe in God. I believe in an opportunity to rebuild oneself, to take the strength that He gives you, to build up again, to stand again. And I'm stronger than I ever was. And
Yes. Yes. And we have to believe in a higher power. And whether
uh,
that's a universe to you or God or whoever you might believe that higher power is, that that you're meant to be here for a reason. And yes, did you struggle? Were you broken like I was or you were? Absolutely. But when you got that little inner voice that says, and everybody has this inner voice, it's just very faint sometimes. It's very, very faint. But if they listen for it, wait a minute, I was here for a purpose. I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm going to I'm going to magnify this and make it better.
right.
And just know that, life is a beautiful struggle and we need to continually adapt, pivot. We need to realize that we can do things, um, and it's glorious when you can learn to release a lot of the stuff that we hold on to, like I was holding on to in my baggage, and because it brings you at peace. I find that my every night is peaceful now, and learning that you still struggle, still stuff, but when you can go to sleep with peace in your heart,
Mhm.
that to me is success in so many ways.
It is. It is. A contented soul. That's
Yes.
a
Yes.
great thing to have.
Yeah.
Great thing to have. So you have now your new app, which your university. What do you call it? The Comfort
Confident
University.
you.
Confident You.
Yes.
Yes, tell us about that. How do people benefit from that, and how do you reach them and also
Yeah.
guide them?
Um, first if I want to just let people know why I started this Confident You really quickly. When I was at my lowest, broken, no money, not sure how I was going to do anything, if I was going to have food to eat, a roof over my head or whatever. About 2 weeks after that, I said, when and if I get through this, because at that time I was doing if instead of when,
Yeah.
um, I want to give back. I want to do something to help other women move forward, to help other women gain confidence, to help women find that they take their power back, you might say, to gain their self worth and a safe place with a community or something. So this was always been on my mind, and a lot of times I believe that's what's also helped me persevere, knowing that if I can be better and do better, then I can give back. And for me, I've always been that caring type of person. I always mentored, even in my real estate, I've mentored people and the such. And so I always found that that's when I felt the best, when, I teaching somebody to do something really, really good and really well, and to be comfortable and motivate them. And throughout the years, people would come to me like, "Oh my God, you did this, Patricia, you did that," and that made me feel good. So I kind of held on to that. And just recently, I've been feeling really great about myself, but I decided it's time, because sometimes you just have to say, okay, it's time now, right? And I decided to create my app called Confident You, which you can get at the Google Play or Apple Store. You can just download it. It's Confident You with a U. And it's all about community. It's all about I'm having podcasts, I'm having live Zoom, so you get me, not just audios. I mean, I will have audios, I will have podcasts, I will have. I've actually got guests coming on with that are teaching women what they know, what they've gone through. So not just all the ups, but the downs that then got them to the ups, right? So again, just learning about their stories, as you always talk about, learning about their stories. And so that it just builds confidence. But it's a community that I keep building. And what I'm doing is that there's a free section of it, which is they can get my 5 audio, or I call the 5 diamonds, because I believe that every one of us are a diamond in the rough and just waiting to be shined up and polished up. And, if they want to upgrade and go into the membership, that would be wonderful, because a part of that membership goes back into the community. I get back into with that community. So if somebody's having a hardship and just trying to get by, and they have $115 light bill and their lights are going to get shut off for some reason, I want to be able to have that available. So look, let's keep your lights on, and we got to really work on your confidence to get you going, so you can take care of that next month. Sometimes just that little step up. Sometimes just that somebody cares, that maybe that somebody, you let them know that they matter, makes all the difference in the world. And
Absolutely.
so that's my goal, is to this. And it's brand new. I'm just beginning to grow it. And you can find it on my Instagram, and you can find it on my blog, especially if you sign up for my blog. Um, but it's really a mission of mine. And I'm very excited about that. And that's what I'm putting right now, my whole time into, is that, and creating something bigger and better. And also making sure that I ask the people and the members, what do you want? And I was just thinking to myself, I want to create a confidence scavenger hunt, and how they can bring things back and show the other person, just something different. I want to just try to do the different things.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting, and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of living right now, which it excites me, because I'm now at that mission state, whereas 13, 14 years ago, I was broken. And I've now was able to launch what I wanted to do 14 years ago, when there was nothing out there and I didn't have $500 to have somebody help me. Plus, interesting enough, I didn't want anybody to know at first. I didn't want people to know that how screwed up I was in so many ways, right? Because that's just our natural way. We try to hide things, that
Yeah.
mask again,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was important, until you're ready to do that. Sometimes you need a safe place that you know that you're going to be okay in. And that's important to me too.
Yeah. So many times in the beginning, you got all you can do to just face yourself in the day and your own issues in the day. And you're really not strong enough to share them with anyone else.
No, because you don't want to get judged, because maybe you've been
Yeah.
judged all your life. And,
Yeah.
and
Well, of course, that's what builds the veneer of the mask in the first place. You start thinking of yourself inferior internally,
yes,
and you think
yes,
the mask is what people will accept. And you don't really allow yourself to see the
yeah,
beauty of yourself as a whole person inside.
yeah.
That's what that peeling away the onion skin is all about. You got to do it a layer at a time before you finally come down to a place that's rich and real.
Exactly. So anyway, that's what my app is all about, Confident You. And it's really bringing those people together, like, you know what, it's going to be okay. And, we've been through it. I've been through it.
Okay. And the new book, are you outlining a new book?
Is there something in my mind? Not quite sure what it's going to be. It could be something similar to Seen and Unheard. I mean, that book didn't have everything in it, to be honest. There's still a
Oh, a
lot more.
rather short book, so you could easily,
Exactly. There's a lot more in it
yeah.
that I could add to this and make another book. Possibly have in my mind maybe more of a younger, to that 14 or 12-year-old to 16-year-old, helping them, because that's, even though we build everything in there 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's that stages when you're becoming that teenager that everything starts to really get folded, and it's set in space, it gets set. And if you can get to them before it's too bad, it's a great place to start.
Oh, I think hard not to break at that age. And
Yeah. So
one of the things I was thinking about as you were speaking, I know in the back of your book you have worksheets for the
yes,
5 issues, the 5 words.
yes,
I'm sure people have contacted you and written in about what it's meant to them, or how individually
yes,
those things have affected them. It
yes.
might be a good place for you to take some of those people who write in on those particular pages and create a chicken soup approach to it.
That's
You
right.
know,
Well, that's been in my brain too. So you know how,
I think that's
when you're doing in that, like, idea thoughts, now where should I go with this?
yeah,
So
I think that would be a winner actually.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
thanks. Take that note.
so folks, I want to remind you that you don't have to take any notes about where to reach Patricia. They'll all be in the show notes. how to find her, how to contact her, where to get the app, what her email, her websites and things of that kind, so you can reach her and reach out to her with questions or offer to be involved with whatever she's doing at the moment. I think that's important for us to support one another.
I'm an
I
open
also
book, so please feel free.
Yeah, and I really think it's important. You and I have talked a little bit back and forth here about being seniors at this point. Not you necessarily, but I'm certainly a senior, and
I
I
guess
think,
I'm considered a senior. I think at 70, I'm
yeah,
considered
and
a
it's beautiful. It's
senior.
beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Nothing
It's a
wrong
good.
with it.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Embrace it.
But
Embrace.
I think what I'm about to say is I think it's important for those of us who have survived it, who have so much to give back, to feed the next generation with information and insights and inspire them to know there's more ahead. It's great. You don't have to be afraid of it. Challenge yourself, work at life, grow. Don't stagnate. Don't be a couch potato, whatever you do. Get out and do things because life has got so much to offer. It's so beautiful. And
Oh,
we just
when you embrace it, it is beautiful, every single day. But you really have to, and I believe you, we always have to intentionally embrace things. And because we have to remind ourselves, because it's really easy to kind of just get in the habit of certain things. And I'm grateful every single day. And I'm not just grateful for the word because that word it gets used a lot these days. When I say grateful, I mean for the very little things, like I have a fork to eat my food with. I have a beautiful cat that I think smiles at me every day. Be grateful for the very little things. Because the big things are replaceable. Everything's replaceable except for yourself and people and pets.
I get up every morning and before I take my head off the pillow, I give thanks for being alive one more day.
Yeah.
One more day. 11 years ago, April the 11th, 11 years ago, I had a hemorrhagic stroke, a half-inch bleeder in the side of my brain. They told my wife I would not make it through the night. And here I am, 11 years later.
Wow.
I'm alive, I'm vital, I'm vibrant, and I thank God every day, every day. And I'm determined not to waste one of them,
Exactly.
not one of
What's
them.
we can't get it back. So let's keep on enjoying every single
Live it
moment.
and enjoy it.
Yes.
Patricia, it's so great to chat with you. I want us to do this again.
Love
I have some thoughts in my mind about doing something with multi guests on the show at the same time. I'd like you to consider being part of that because I think it's an interesting story we have to tell people. So,
Yeah. Well, we all have stories, so, and it's important for people to let other people know that we all have a story. It's how we work it, what we choose to do. So I would be happy to do that. So I'll look for the invite.
you'll get it, I promise, and we'll do it in one shoot this time instead of two shoots. So, folks,
You're enjoyable. Doesn't matter.
yes, I enjoyed it very much. Thank you. So, folks, it's time for us to move on. I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I hope it was good and inspiring to you. It certainly was to me. If you didn't learn something from this show, you're never going to learn anything from anything. You had to learn something from this show. So, I remind you, we have a new show every Wednesday morning, new guests on, people like Patricia. And if you have someone you'd like to recommend to be on the show, please write in, tell us who they are. We'll talk with them. And maybe next week it'll be someone else in Patricia's spot here. I also remind you that you have your own story to tell. No one knows your story like you do. Only you can tell it. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, write it down because it's your legacy. And we need to know what it is before it's too late. Because when it's too late, it's too late. No one will benefit from it. So tell everyone something beneficial about you and about your story. And as I say every week, tell someone you love them today. It's important. Bye, Pat. Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope that it resonated with you. It certainly did with me. And I hope it encouraged